Welcome.
Hello,
Um,
thank you.
you know what I thought I would do is your kind of bio brief is very clear. And so I'm going to introduce both of you through the Maison Meta little kind of quote you have here because it really says everything, and then we can just jump in to conversation. So first of all, thank you both very much for this. Maison Meta is the first cutting edge generative AI creative studio based in New York City, focusing on using artificial intelligence to push the boundaries of what's possible in the digital space. Their team of innovative thinkers, creative directors, and tech-savvy professionals work with forward-thinking brands to explore the potential of AI, helping them stay ahead of the curve and stand out in a crowded marketplace. I think that's really great. It's definitely a good introduction. So you guys are, and I'm happy to say, working with you both has been so exciting and such a pleasure. And I think for people to understand AI better, which we probably are talking about all the time, and creating less fear and more excitement seems to be the protocol. I think if you talk a little bit about some of the projects that you've been working on, and I think the Revolve Maison Meta collaboration is really unique and interesting. And of course, we have a great presence on Revolve, so we're big Revolve fans. So I'm happy to talk about both. So why don't you guys explain that project, and we can ask more questions.
Do you want to take that, Cyril, or shall I do it?
You can start, sure.
The Revolve relationship, the Revolve relationship has been super, super interesting. You know, Michael Mente, who's the co-CEO, has been a big believer and really one of our first supporters from the start, even before we had anything to show. You know, Cyril and him have had a relationship going back for 15, 20 years. So there was some personal, connection there. But with Revolve, we started with, you know, something that seemed small, and then it scaled to encapsulate so many different things that we can show that, you know, companies can do in this day and age using generative AI. So first it started with a campaign to celebrate the 20th anniversary that was originally creating imagery or an advertising campaign, if you like, for digital purposes. And then as we started to work with them and they saw the efficiencies, the cost savings, time to market, all the things that we speak to all our clients about. It's not just about creativity. It's about really helping businesses do better. Then the online campaign went to be a poster campaign. And then from the poster campaign, the question came, well, you know, can we create billboard ads out of this? And no one had ever done that. We hadn't done it either at the time. You know, there's some upscaling needed because when you're going from an image that's on screen to something that's, you know, I think it was like 40 feet by 20 feet.
Wow.
Something. It was
wow.
enormous. So we created that ad for them. And on one side, you know, Cyril loves and geeks out on all these challenges, as he likes to put them. So, you know, I think the creation process was really good for us and super, super interesting. But with the cost savings that Revolve managed to get out of the project, rather than paying teams, getting all the rights, all the things that go into creating billboard ads, they diverted the cost savings into buying more media space. So the billboard ads didn't go up. Well, first of all, I think it couldn't have been possible without AI in terms of from a budgetary perspective. But once we worked with them, I think they were across 20, 30 different, enormous billboards across California, from LA to Coachella, where they were celebrating their 20th anniversary. So, so that was super interesting. And then the next step came, which was, well, we've created these outfits using generative AI. There are people wearing those outfits on the billboards. And the question came, well, can we work with you guys to produce them? And that was super interesting as well. So in the end, Revolve produced a capsule collection as part of their Coachella activation. That was the first collection ever to be created by Gen AI and sold online. So this whole process was super, super exciting and really shows the breadth, depth, scope of what generative AI can do. And we're a very small team. And it also shows the efficiencies that any company can gain, and the creativity that anybody can bring to the table, as long as they're curious about the technology and not scared of it. I think embracing it really has been the words that always come to our mouths when we talk about Gen AI. It's like you have to embrace it. You can't be scared of it. And with that, so many different opportunities open up.
Yeah. You're so right. I think the fear factor is just this invisible shield that it needs to just come down. So, Cyril, you're a very interesting character, I must say. Your talent is extraordinary, and I think between the two of you, you have this incredible balance and mix, and it's also efficient. In the description you just made, Neiman, what you do between the two of you, there's an efficiency. So describe a typical day, Cyril. What is your typical day? Whatever combination you can put together.
My typical day is usually waking up very early. So I'm up by like 4:30, 5 a.m. And I take my coffee, looking into the news of all the market, all the AI news, what's going on, what's coming out. I'm having some creative testing outside of like the working hours, where I'm like trying new tools, new workflows, trying to develop constantly like my knowledge and understanding of the space. And then, we've been having quite a bit of back-to-back clients work campaign. Recently, we are just doing a digital campaign for Rimmel, the beauty line, where they want to move on into the AI space, trying out to see the outputs for their mascaras and things like that. So working a lot on that, and then having calls with clients, following up. It's been a lot of fun, and basically now Maison Meta is like only a year old, and we're in full expansion, really like growing with this wave and all those AI news, and we're lucky because we have like this understanding of one side the tech world, and the other one the fashion and beauty spaces and luxury space that we also have been working with. So when we combine those two, we're able to really bring on like different views for our clients. And we're really, really excited about the future and what's coming up.
The interesting. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's again, we're a pretty small team. We're sort of like two of us full time, and we have two or three other people who help us as need be. And there's client projects, but we want to push the envelope on all areas. So in your description earlier, one of the things we're adding is a laboratory. So creative studio in a laboratory, because as we see different ways in which generative AI can be applied to solve bottlenecks or issues or pain points, we're starting to develop solutions like the one we've been working on with you.
Yeah.
And so that's another area we're expanding. And if you look at, a day like today, we're, starting early, and then discussing, potential investments that are coming in to set up this laboratory in New York. Another project that we're doing with Revolve, which is developing, a platform, sort of a self-serve platform, so that what we do, which is very unique, and it's based on a custom workflow that's very difficult to replicate. We're developing that with Revolve. We have a call with FIT where I think you taught some time ago, to help them with this big AI initiative that they have coming up. And then we have a call with NYU for their AI forum. And so the day is a mishmash of all sorts of things, between client work and then always pushing the envelope forward, whether it's to get our message out. Really, we're very passionate about making sure we work with a lot of schools and make sure students understand the capabilities that Gen AI brings, understand the possibilities, and then equip them with what they need in the workforce. So the days are all over the place.
But I think that that's a great idea, because I think the concern people have is that it's going to replace, or that the misunderstanding about it replacing talent, to me, is crazy, because the more creative you are, the better it is, right? I mean, you have to be creative. To me, it's the same as ChatGPT. The more creative your prompt is, the better the output, right? So it's always about creativity. It's never about a lack of it. But my thought when you said that your company is a year old, I mean, I can't believe it. I can't believe it's only a year.
Right. It's actually not even a year. It's 11 months, I think.
But do you know what I mean? It's like even ChatGPT, how it's not that, it's a baby too. It's like everything is so new that it's hard really to fathom that we're in the early stages of what this is going to be and where it's going. I think a good question is, so what made you do this almost a year ago? Like, why? Like, that's a brave, first of all, that's a brave step, because a year ago is like 20 years ago in dog years or something. I mean, if you think about it, it's like what you've accomplished in a year would have taken so much longer just in the regular digital space, right? Without AI. So a year ago, what were you thinking? What were you talking about? Why did you decide to do this?
The excitement of seeing the possibility of those tools, the same that you see or you saw also pretty early on. Like as a creative director, we understand how to work with all different set of creatives to arrive to final output. And with these tools, I was able to create similar outputs just by myself. And just, it was the beginning. The quality was not the same. The results were not the same that it's now and that it will be in 6 months to a year.
Right.
So yeah, the space is moving extremely fast. There is a huge open source community of like people that are also doing this just for the community. They want to, for example, right now there is a LLM that is at pretty much at the same level as ChatGPT 3, but it's open source and you can run it on your computer by yourself. So just to know that like a multi-billion-dollar company has something closed source, and on the open source level, you can have pretty much the same for free on your computer, creates really like this new world, very, very exciting. And well, for us on the fashion vision and beauty and seeing those tools, I was like, we have to like really get on this and like have brands understanding. They're still a little bit hesitant. They're still a little bit afraid or questioning themselves. And, I really wanted to take like a strong stance and be like the first of many cases.
Yeah, fashion can tend to be, and it's ironic because every season we have to create something new, right? So you think fashion is the fastest moving, forward thinking, but it's not. It's actually not at all. It's like it took a long time for the industry to kind of step into the digital world and then to step into even e-commerce. And so I think it will take people who believe the way you guys believe in this to be the adventurous ones in the industry. But I think it's a great combination, AI and fashion, because it's not techy and it's not in all the areas. It's not medicine and it's not all of these sort of other industries. It's this creative industry. Wow. What made you decide on fashion and beauty?
Well, they were my world. I mean, I started as a wardrobe stylist. So I always was like, I started in Paris. Yeah. I started as a wardrobe in Paris. So I really understood the fashion. I didn't do any fashion studies. So I was like from the start, really, a fashion lover, loving, all type of designers. And then I studied all the fashion history all on my own, really understanding this whole world. And so from going from that to then developing, all different aspects from, fashion photo shoot to after I had a showroom in Los Angeles doing the sales and PR. So really understand every level of fashion.
Wow.
And so now with like the tech arriving on top of this, which I was always found and dabbling with, when the two came together, I was like, wow, this is the perfect mix. And yeah.
That's it. And Nima, what were you doing? Like, where were you focused and how did you guys meet?
So I qualified as a lawyer in the UK many years ago.
Okay.
I lasted like less than a week, but as soon as they put 180-page agreement in front of me and told me I have to sit still, really for me.
No.
So I got into management consulting with one of the big global firms. And from the beginning, I was always really interested in, sort of near future technologies and how that can impact business. Because, as new things come, there's a rush to try to understand what it can do. That creates a little chaos. And with chaos comes opportunity. And that for me was always interesting, of finding the ways in which you can apply a new tool to solve a pain point. So that's always the way I've been thinking. And so, fast forward to sort of the period when we met, Cyril and I, and actually, if you remember, Norma, me and you met as well. It was the beginning days of Web 2, social media, apps, e-commerce, and I was trying to convince the big consultancy firm to, move forward with this. And they didn't want to do it. And so I took a sabbatical and said, I don't want to say the words, I'm going to do it myself. And so started to dig in and found a niche in terms of applying social media and other things to help brands market, communicate, reach audiences in new places in different ways. And at the time, Cyril and I met because Cyril had a very well-known blog at the time. It sounds like we're talking antiques now.
I know. It's crazy.
Called Trendland. And so he was in the first wave of people like Josh and Evan at Cool Hunting and Notcart and all the first bloggers that were the influencers. And so my agency started developing. We were the first ones to develop influencer programs, but influencers were people who had voice online and sort of unvetted voice. There was no editor that you would have to pass through. So that's how we met. We did a bunch of really fun trips together, experiences, if you like, with Berkeley Co. and Bentley and Bulgari. And so those were my clients at the time. And that's when we met you, actually. I don't know if you remember, but at the beginning days, you reached out, or someone from your team reached out to us to say, well, there's all this social media stuff. How can I use it? So we came in and trained your teams on how to post, on Facebook. I think Instagram wasn't even around. What to post, how to do it, when, all the tools that we had. That's when you were in your Upper East Side.
56th Street,
location still. So that's how we met. And I think fast forward, the speed with which companies adopted Web 2 or e-commerce, it took 3, 4, 5 years. Now we can see within 1 year the possibilities that this tool brings, and that's what was really exciting. Cyril didn't mention he's always dabbling. So he started digging into generative AI middle of last year, maybe beginning of last year, really at the beginning.
During COVID, during COVID,
COVID did have its benefits. It really did. It forced us to do stuff, right? If you're not a sit still person, you're going to go to a place where you say, someday I'm going to do that. Or if I had some time, I would do that. And then, we found ourselves doing things that were extraordinary. So I'm going to tell you a little story. I was in Abu Dhabi, and AI is very big there. They just made a big deal with Microsoft, which is very exciting. So I'm meeting with these people, and I was just sort of a guest. They were showing me, they knew I was interested in AI. And this was a few years ago because I just started to hear about it. And I'm like, I don't know, if I weren't a fashion designer, I certainly would be in this other world. I'm very excited about technology. And so somebody said to me, we have there's a big global brand, e-commerce brand. And we believe this brand can be designed without a designer, but using technology. They didn't say AI, they said using technology. And they said, and we have a proposal. We've done some research on your history, and we know you worked with Walmart and done all kinds of things. We want to download your brain. And I was like, what? Excuse me? And I thought, first of all, I found it fascinating. And then I said, no way. And then, but I never stopped thinking, why don't I download my own brain? Why am I going to download it for somebody else? Why don't I take what I'm thinking and do it myself, which leads us and the taking it a step further and further to the idea that that technology could actually do that you can actually reach that point where the information and the familiarity with the mannerisms and the personality and the nuances of a brand could really be created in some format. And to me, that's incredibly exciting that could actually happen, that I could influence an archive in such a way that it would understand the way I interpret every season, the way I interpret the news of the day, the way all of that goes. So that, to me, was the inspiration to be in this world and to know everything about it and be involved in it. So Cyril, what was the inspiration for you to use AI? One thing, yes, it's technology and it's in your world, but why? What was that thing, or somebody said something, or you saw something happen? What was it?
Well, I was always intrigued, like same as you, about it. And, when I was thinking AI at the beginning, I thought you needed the big computers and lots of powering. And when I starting to see that actually now it's only resolving into an algorithm and you can actually make it work on regular consumer computers, I was really, impressed, and I was just wanting to like start to understand how a model works, what type of languages, how you can have all those codes put together that can really makes like a brain, basically. It's the same. It's a neural network. So it's how he works, the way he has been thought. And then as well, having a potential vision of the future, and see all the possibility that it can bring for many industry. Here we're talking about fashion, but in medicine, it's amazing what it's already doing.
Yeah.
How we can really analyze past studies and text. Same with coding, he can understand and code for you a lot, or at least assist you coding, because and so. Yeah, it was always like very fascinating to me. And then when I was like during COVID, I was like, wow, I need to like kind of like learn and understand the base and some of the coding. And then I went dive deep in, and a few months or years later, actually 2 years after that, like starting to arrive with the the diffusion networks, where now you could have like creating from text to image. I was like, wow, I need to really understand this and get deep. And now, a year after launching the agency, we have many projects in the space, and I want to move fast as the space goes, but we only have 24 hours per day. So
yeah, you need a team. You need to build this team.
Exactly.
You're right at that point where, Nima, I think that you were talking about the schools, you're talking about this new, I mean, you're on the verge of this baby not only walking and starting to talk, but what's going to happen? It's going to grow really fast. And I think, getting power in there is just, this is the time, no question. So when you were talking about education, if you just listen to what Cyril said, what he did was he educated himself. My interest too. All I could think of is I need to educate myself. So I took that MIT course, which blew my head open. But by taking it, I'm so comfortable. Like I set up our whole little system right next to my desk. So in the morning, I come in early too. So I get up at 4:30. I'm in the office at 6. And the first thing I'm going to do every morning for an hour is just design and do that whole thing. I want that to be my morning. But the reason I feel that way, and the way you educated yourself, and that I took a course that no fashion designer in their right mind would ever take, but I learned, even though a lot of it I didn't understand because it was engineers, I learned about the freedom of it, and that I'm not afraid of it. And I love the prompt. I am excited about what I can do. So you talked about, Mima, you talked about the schools. I think that this is such a good idea. And I think it's sort of a company you could build even independently, a school for this, because the thing that I am aware of with fashion students and young people in the industry is when you say coding or a word like that, you've lost them. They just went off somewhere else, right? And the fact that AI doesn't need you to learn coding anymore because it can do it for you. And, so there's this other kind of communication. What are you thinking about when you're thinking about education, especially in the fashion industry?
Well, as currently we're speaking with every single important fashion school in the UK, Italy,
Right.
New York, and the first thing that is very obvious to us is that there's a very surface level understanding of what the possibilities are and what the tools are. So 90% of the conversation is, Midjourney and DALL-E. Whereas, those are not really the tools that give you the control that you want and
Right.
the ability to push things forward. So we're talking with every school about how can we integrate some of this into a curriculum of sorts, whether it's for existing students, with another school in New York, we're talking about the executive education program, also necessary. With another school, they're setting up an MBA program, so it's part of that. So it's different contexts. but I think at some stage it's also important to push the discussion beyond just creativity, because Gen AI can help fashion companies, any company, to improve and enhance operations across so many different areas. Cyril and I, we worked with UBS recently to develop a conference for them. And, there's different sections, generative AI on how it can help creativity, design, marketing. And then there's how can it help to enhance e-commerce and customer
Personalization.
segmentation and
Yeah.
personalization. And then there's this whole other slew of tools. Again, we were in Barcelona 4 weeks ago. We got invited by McKinsey to present at the McKinsey AI Summit. And there were a couple of super, super interesting tools that are being used using AI to enhance retail operations. These are all the bottlenecks that this industry has. And when you were saying earlier, it's a very fast moving industry, but very sort of tech backwards almost, but now we're seeing all of these possibilities. And so part of the discussion with the schools is, yes, the creative, the designers can use it in this way, but there's many other people that will go into the industry in many different departments. And it's important for them to know what are the tools and capabilities that Gen AI brings to make your job easier, to make you more successful.
One of the things I found interesting that you guys did was when you do your competition, and it's people from everywhere who are submitting, and that I was thinking about that a lot, and I was thinking that those people intuitively will do a good job because they're excited about the possibility. And maybe they are becoming the next fashion designers or creators in an industry. I believe anybody who wears clothes can design clothes. If you wear clothes, you know how it feels, you know what you want it to do. I don't think in this time now, when I started, you had to learn pattern making and draping and all of the technology that really is hands-on craft type development, right? It was a different way. Now I say I'm going to let go of that instead of make that my identity. And so these people who don't have any of my skills and don't need them, but that's not required anymore, but come into your competition and come in with a fresh mind. So give me some feedback on what you've seen.
Yes, what you're referring to for people who are listening.
Yeah, please explain.
AI Fashion Week. Yeah, so AI Fashion Week is a global platform, a global competition to showcase, to celebrate all of those amazingly creative people from around the world, in all ages, from all professions, that have taught themselves how to use the tools and are applying their creativity. We had age ranging between 13 and 68, people who submitted. In every country, over 65 countries, Middle East,
I love it.
Africa, North America, South America, absolutely from everywhere. And every profession that you can imagine, from lawyers to architects, to people who came from fashion, So this has been a really beautiful project that we put a lot of time and effort in, and we invest our own money into it. That really is sort of there to showcase what's possible. Somebody can create beautiful, beautiful collection without having gone to necessarily fashion school, worked in fashion. It's just their creativity and the machine, as it were.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think, Cyril? Do you think that there's the possibility for these people who are not immersed in fashion and are coming maybe with a fresh point of view? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can bring a lot of possibilities, and that's why we wanted to put this competition together to give them like a runway view, and then partnering with Revolve to then after create their collection. So not only staying in this digital world, but coming back into the real world. That's where a lot of people we presented to were really excited about, and that's what all those competitors do to have a potential chance to launch a brand. And that's why we're also setting up kind of like a fashion tech incubator, which will also teach them some part of the fashion, understanding how you do the sampling, how you then go to markets, promote marketing, all this, for some that have no idea. So it's been very, very exciting. And, we, are seeing like the result right now, like the first season, we produced some collection. The second is going on. We want to open partnership with other brands that potentially can do, collaborations and project with those designers. And I think it gives them such a creativity tool that can enhance their vision and bring something new and fresh. And that's the whole.
I think that that's really, AI is changing every aspect of our lives in a global scale in every way. And I think some of the realization may be that fashion is designed by different people in a different way for this time. It may just be a different kind of industry or a new kind of industry that doesn't change the old one, but it just is a new kind. I'm not so sure that the industry is going to be as open to the change. I think there will be obviously people that are open, but I think the new industry that can develop from this can be incredibly innovative and exciting, because if you're going to do it, you have to be thrilled, excited, like you have to have chills and feel like this energy. And if it's frightening, it's you don't really get that opportunity to have that experience. So I thought that is so clever, because I've always had in the back of my head, I think it's different people who will be designing fashion in this way, or creating fashion, or collaborations, or art forms that are considered beauty and fashion. And a lot of people in the industry that I interview for, whether it's to talk about this or platforms about fashion, are not that excited about it. They don't understand why I'm not concerned about it. So I think that you opened a door here, and I think the idea of how you're presenting it from a teaching perspective is going to start to define what the fashion industry looks like in the future. I think you opened that door inadvertently, and will find yourself as leaders in that space because of it.
Yeah, I mean, the one of the vision I see for all those fashion companies, they will definitely have a two-pole. One which always be a craft and fashion designer collection, and then they'll have those AI assisted collection, where you always need a creative brand, you always need a creative director, but you'll be able to use those tools to boost your creativity. And you will always have those like collection that will come from the more like traditional, and some brands will put it up front. Some others might hide it a little bit, but there'll be definitely those two. As far as like the potential, McKinsey released a analysis for the future where they forecasting in the next 3 to 5 years from 150 to 275 billion dollars in the apparel and luxury sector. And that is just what's coming up and how this will develop. So we're really at the beginning, and that's why also we're excited to do this project with you, because you're always been seeing and understanding this vision of the future, and you want to like be the first and understanding and be at the beginning of this movement. It's very, very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's when, to me, when it hasn't been done before and you can explore it, it's so exciting. I mean, how do you not want to do that? It's like, but I think you're right. I think the transformation is you maintain your brand, you maintain the way you do your business, and then you start to create this auxiliary company that is really run in a different way, but uses all of the mechanisms of the way to tell the story about the brand, but then has this new technology. And then there'll be some of these people who just came in out of nowhere, and all of a sudden we hear a name that we never heard before, and he used to be a doctor, and now he's or something. I know it's just going to be something, right?
Yeah. But your limitations are just your imagination when it comes to these tools. We've been actually, the project we're doing with you was one of our dreams 10 months ago. Like, how can we work with someone to like learn their history and then work with AI that creates patterns, right? That's what it's doing. It's sort of connecting all the different nuances and then being able to reproduce that. We have these other dreams, hopefully they will come true. We have dreams of doing a future vintage collection where you can work with a brand, it could be amazing, a McQueen, a Laia, all of these, and really go back and learn their thoughts and their way of designing in a particular period, and then fast forward to something brand new.
I love that. I love that. I actually had a brand at one point called Vintage of the Future, and it was a collection I did in 1973 that I projected would sell in 2023. And I'm actually doing it now. But the idea of vintage of the future through AI is so real, and it's such a brilliant idea. I love that.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's very exciting. It's a little bit similar to what Reformation is doing, except for now they're not using the AI, but they're taking some of those AI pieces and develop new collections.
Yeah, but that's a business of its own. That's a brand of its own, right?
Yeah.
And as we've been talking with various people who are interested to partner with us or invest in us, you start to think about all the different scenarios. So from a very business perspective, you take a private equity company that wants to buy a dormant brand. In our days, Romeo Gigli was amazing, right? He's nowhere to be seen right now. What you can do, you can run a little in-house pilot of, if we were to take on this dormant brand, and if we were to create a collection, what would that creation look like? And you can do all of that without buying the brand, without bringing a creative director in, spending a few million, 6-9 months to get your first collection out. You can actually do that in advance of making your business decisions,
No, I absolutely. And actually that's what I thought about for me. I mean, my brand should be able to live beyond me, right? And I'm just giving it a base to not only have everything we're working on together, but then the nuances that I add to it, so that over time, the company can just keep going, and it can thrive on 50 plus years of data, and then whatever we give to it as the opportunity for the future. And people say, why would you want to do that? It's like, why not? Why not?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're right. Romeo Gigli, I worked with him, and 5 designers worked in Italy with a company called Zamasport, and Helmut Lang, Catherine Hamnett, Romeo Gigli, me. I'm missing somebody. I can't think of the other one. Anyway, we all worked together, and I remember Romeo Gigli's work and thinking, whoa, this is so beautiful, and it's timeless and spectacular. And you're right. There you go. What does it take to create, to take this brand and imagine it forward? It's exciting. It's truly, the ideas we could sit here and just keep talking about ideas forever and ever. And and I think because it's so early in the game that, it's having a support system for everything you guys are doing, really, to make it all happen.
And this is why we're so excited about this laboratory idea. It's not a new thing. We've been doodling and thinking about it for the last 3 or 4 months, which in this world is very
it's dog years again.
There's so many applications in different areas, and I think it just needs to be a lab where you're experimenting and you're coming up with new ideas that, of course, you have to monetize, but the possibilities are endless, especially at this moment in time. Maybe in 2 years will be different, but right now there's many possibilities.
Yeah. And the fact that there isn't a big investment, right? I mean, like you said, you can have a laboratory and create the beginning of an idea with a very minimal investment. And then depending on how much you want to put into it and how you want to scale it, it's almost like you're creating a new kind of business. The two of you have so much responsibility here. I mean it in a good way, because every time you present a new idea, that's a new business opportunity that is a huge scale, right? So, it's scary in a way on how you manifest all of that. And on the other hand, it's just so exciting. The idea of everything being so early, how do you see that? I remember when we all got computers and we would sit and watch the circle. When is it going to finally? And I feel like we're just at the end of the circle now, right? In AI, like it's still circling a little bit. Every once in a while, the circle pops up, but for the speed of all of this, what do you expect the next big step forward to be? Where do you see that happening?
Next big step is AGI, artificial general intelligence. And that is what happened recently with OpenAI, where Sam Altman got fired and there were some issues. You probably think, oh, it's because they are starting to put a finger on this. The thing is, AGI is basically when the AI becomes more intelligent than human. And that is where you need to have some safeguards in some ways to be able to control it so that things cannot go out of control. And that is where all the AI skeptics are a little bit afraid of. And AGI is coming up. They were saying 2 years now. OpenAI might have it. It might come out in the next 6 months. And this will like ChatGPT on steroids. Like that would be just like the next one. Then if you saw the movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson, there is also those like personal assistants where they will have a sort of understanding of their clients, and you'll be able to really have some fluent dialogue with them with all this. And that's kind of like one of the next steps. For example, you were talking on downloading the brain. Like for now with you, we're working on visuals that stays into the visual, but all the LLM will be able to soon be plugged to that visual component where you'll be able to give your years of writings, your books, your things, and said, okay, learn about Norma, learn about this, learn about her personalities, learn about this, and this other component can then after click into the digital visual component, and then will become even a bigger one.
Yeah, well, which is actually, obviously something I want to do. So I've been doing these films with some video people who are really very friendly and very easy to work with. And so I do these kind of just talking about things, influences and things. And it's just, I'm not trying to be pretty or anything in it. I'm just talking so that information can go back into this, and anything else that I can feed it, I really feel is really valuable. I'm so happy that person said that to me, even though it was like, what? But then I thought, oh my God, of course I want to do that. And I think that that's another phase of this where people, there are people who have already done that, that I've known through these scientists in Abu Dhabi who've already downloaded their brain in a way and using all of this. And also, I think Tony Robbins has done something also where people can call him, but they're not speaking to him. They're speaking to the AI version of him for advice about things. So there's sort of
Deepak
that.
Chopra is doing it too.
Deepak, yeah.
Chopra
So
is doing that as well.
are versions of that already happening, but I mean, there's so much happening all around. That what's happening in medicine is extraordinary too. It's really medicine is going to change and be democratic for everyone in a way that we haven't had before. And it's the speed of all of this that's really exciting. I think Sam Altman in some way made such a strategic, like he was blessed with this firing and then even putting him in such a better place. So I think what I would like to know is personally how AI has changed your life. What, in a personal way, it could be any form of AI, besides, coming in the morning and doing all of your kind of research in AI, and the two of you living and breathing AI because it's your business. But what personal experience have you adopted? Just whether it's an assistant or what personal assistant, what personal experience have you adopted into your lives?
That's a great question. I don't think I really pushed it on that level yet, because I don't have extra bandwidth to do so. But I know you can already have exactly some personal assistant in fact of work, taking care of your agenda, your schedule, looking through your emails, giving you reminders and all this. But on the personal level, I don't think I've been yet too deep into it.
I think bandwidth is an important one. And actually, I mean, personally, when there's any moment, I rather go to nature and, walk on the beach and do all the things and try to balance it out some way. I think it's very easy to get sucked into this. And yes, there's many beautiful things that come out of it, but I think we can't forget the more, organic parts of life. So for me, it's really trying to get away from this world as much as possible when it's possible.
Yeah, I find myself, because we never have enough people, right? I never have enough staff. Every time I come up with a new idea, everybody here is doing more things. So then we have to find, and they want to kill me when a weekend is over. Oh no, what is it going to be? So I've literally, we've had meetings talking about how everybody can use generative AI in their jobs and how they can get assistance through AI. And one of the things that I've found is it's a quick shorthand for me. Even picking the name of this podcast was so easy because it's like I didn't have time to think about what I wanted to be. So I would say just do I don't have time for this. But by putting in an interesting prompt, AI came up with Invincible Threads, and I Am Invincible is the name of my book. And I never mentioned my book in the prompt. at all. And Invincible Threads was like, oh my God, that's perfect. And in seconds, that was solved. So I find myself where it takes something I have to think about. I don't have time to think about that right now. I'll just put in a prompt and I get really great responses if I give it the time to do a quality. It has to be a quality prompt. So I do find myself using it. And I love the surprise of it all. I love the adventure. I love where it takes me, and sometimes where I don't think I'm going to be. And my staff use it a lot for instance, for our e-blasts, they'll use subject line, for attention, or quotes or captions that are really great. And sometimes I look at them and I like, they're so funny. And I'll tell them humor is really important in what we do. Fashion has to have humor. And so they'll go on a humor thing and it's fabulous. It's fun and it's light. So I do think, even though it's the most simplistic use of AI, it really is time saving in a lot of ways, because I just don't have time to think about the name of something. It's like, no, not, I don't have the bandwidth. So that's when I find it helpful.
Time saving for sure. And, we all suffer from decision fatigue, with
Right.
so many things,
Right.
so many things to think about every day from, when I was living in New York, what time do I leave the house so I don't catch the rain? I get my subway, which line, you don't realize that your brain is being bombarded with information all the time, and you have to react to your situation all the time. And so you're right that at some stage there's too much to think about. Your brain is literally dead.
Yeah.
And this is when the tool can be useful to do all the things that you don't have the bandwidth for.
And so if technology and creativity, because I think of it, and I think of this as incredibly creative. So what do you do? Like, Nima, you said you want to be with nature, and obviously you are, and it's tormenting us as we are not in nature right now. So Cyril, what do you do to what's the counterbalance to all of this exciting stuff that you're creating? You're in these formative years of an explosive future. And what are you doing for balance?
For balance, I should do more, actually. I'm like really, I'm like, as like an entrepreneur, I'm like also same as you, I have idea coming up all the time and I want to realize them. I used to be more active into sports and especially soccer. So that was my exalt. And, but right now I'm like really trying to think, about next. I'm a little bit too deep, into, how, things should move on. And, but just because also it's a space that moves so fast that you have to stay on top. And, we already have like a good position in that world, but I really want to like be like the main one, and then competitions will arrive because it's still not there. We barely have any competitors yet. So that is why like I always want to stay on top. So that's why I don't really disconnect much. I mean, I travel. I think travel is a great one. Even if it's for work, like always traveling and going on and changing environment, is great. But, that's where I'm at right now. Yeah.
As you know, Norma, when you're running your own business, there's always something to do, right? Weekends, evenings, mornings, middle of the night.
It's true. And I think in the last 2 years, for me too, or last year especially, I I just haven't had a minute because I'm afraid to lose that minute where I could come up with another idea or something, or I want to solve a problem that doesn't prevent something from moving forward. So it's a dilemma, Cyril. I have the
Yeah.
same dilemma. It's like I want to chill, but even when I'm chilling, I'm so anxious that I can't be doing what all of the ideas. It's a very exciting time, and we're really so fortunate to
Yeah.
be living in this time and to be in the moment of it. And you guys are so great. And
There's not many opportunities in life to
no,
create the future. Literally, we're literally creating the future.
Absolutely. It's a thrill. And it's, and whether you're an Elon Musk fan or not, it's people like that who are always looking at the
Yeah.
future too. And to take the risk and to go out on a limb and do these things, whether it's inventing something or taking something new into a place it's never been, it's an honor, and it's such a privilege that you guys are really just on the cutting edge. And I'm so happy that I found you, and
Thank you.
you're making my
Us
dreams
too.
come true.
Us too.
I'm so happy, and I just I envision everything that I want to do with it, and I'm when you put it in front of you and you see it, it actually can happen. So thank you both very much for the privilege of working with you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
That's super kind. Thank you for saying that.
Take care.
Okay,
Okay.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.